life on this earth is limited, that you don't get to do everything. See, it is the panic to try to do everything that turns you into the optimizer bot. Because I'm going to optimize this, and then I'm going to optimize this, I'm going to optimize this, and I'm going to optimize this. It's progress for the sake of progress. What is the problem that you are trying to avoid solving? Every time you move towards something, what are you moving away from? Something that I'm starting to see more of is people are what I would call relentless optimizers, right? So we have a culture right now where we have a bunch of people on the internet, like yours truly, who will tell you guys how to get more out of life, right? So we're like steering clear of politics, but like we're gonna use various kinds of products and services to optimize my life. Oh my God, there's this, I did not put this here, but that looks like Steven. Shout out to Steven. And so there's just a lot of people who are like, I gotta do better. I gotta do more. And sometimes these people become what I would like to call an optimizer bot, okay? And I know that's mean, so let me explain. I'm a dick. Okay. No, here's what I mean. So as a psychiatrist, I've worked with a ton of people who want to optimize. I myself also like to optimize. Like this setup over here has been optimized for my streaming pleasure. Okay. So optimization is not bad, right? Becoming efficient is not bad. But sometimes what happens is people become optimizer bots. And they sort of optimize for the sake of optimization, for the sake of just like, I'm going to do more, because more is better, right? More money is better. More girlfriends, more boyfriends are better. More houses, bigger houses, just more is better. Why have one hot dog when you can have two? More is better. And they sort of relentlessly optimize. And so optimization doesn't become a means to an end, which, spoiler alert, that's when optimization is healthy. It becomes an end in and of itself. And what I've seen as a psychiatrist is when optimization becomes an end in and of itself, it actually masks other psychological problems. So one of the things that I love about being a psychiatrist is that I get to work with a lot of people. Like not all psychiatrists are like this, which is totally fine. You know, many psychiatrists, many of my mentors are like specialists in one area. So there's a guy named Dr. Michelon who's like, was an awesome mentor of mine, is just like one of the world's best experts in depression and in supplementation. So he's like absolute awesome guy, fantastic person to learn from. But what I sort of found when I was training is like, I kind of liked the variety of it. And what I've done is I've seen optimizers of many shapes and sizes. So I've seen people who are like, I'm a CEO. I exited my first company. Now I'm optimizing my life so I can be a serial entrepreneur. Or, hey, I'm homeless and I really have to like get my shit together because I'm tired of being homeless. I need my first job. I'm addicted to pornography. I'm addicted to fentanyl. Like I need to like fix my life. Okay. So there's like a whole spectrum of people. So the first thing is there's not one optimizer. It's not one psychology. There's actually a different set of reasons why people become relentless optimizers. So I'll give you all an example. This is one that is very common for very successful people. So when I work with someone who's like entrepreneur or CEO or like, you know, senior VP of like sales in North America or something like that, many of these people are optimizers, right? So they do sauna, they do red light therapy, they do intermittent fasting. They're just amazingly productive human beings. And one of the things, there's a really interesting aspect of psychology, which is that one of the best ways you can run away from a problem is to solve a completely different problem. So sometimes when I run into relentless optimizers, why do they keep on optimizing? Because all of these optimizations are running away from the one problem they don't solve.
Hey y'all, if you're interested in applying some of the principles that we share to actually create change in your life, check out Dr. K's Guide to Mental Health.
And if you kind of tunnel down, okay, why aren't you motivated? And they're like, well, there's no point. And if you get underneath, there's no point, what you ultimately find is hopelessness. So what the yogis discovered is that what we call motivation, they actually called a concentrated mind. What's the difference between someone who actually does stuff and someone who just tries to do stuff?
So check out the link in the bio and start your journey today.
There's a paper that is looking at burnout for software developers. And one of the reasons that software developers burn out is because when there is a task that they don't want to do, when they're procrastinating on one task, what they do is they spend a lot of time doing like little things that are not solving their main problem. And for senior developers, one of the key things that they do is junior code review. So it's like, I've got this big thing that like this big feature that I have to build, but I don't know how to build it, and I don't have the budget, and I don't have the time, and management keeps on changing their mind, and the feature isn't even going to work. Oh my God, what do I do about it? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into work today, and I'm going to do junior code review. So we as human beings have this very fundamental element of our psychology, which is that we don't like unsolvable problems. When I'm faced with an unsolvable problem, I need to do, I need to do something about it, but I don't know how to do something about it. And when we're faced with an unsolvable problem, it feels absolutely overwhelming, right? Because I need to do something, but I can't do something. I don't know what to do. It's psychologically torture. So what we do is shift to things that we can control. There's a saying, rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Now, I don't even know if this story is right, is correct or not, is real or not. There's this story that when the Titanic was sinking, one of like the senior wait staff was like, oh my God, the deck chairs on the top of the Titanic are out of order. The ship is sinking, but we have to have the deck chairs in the right order. And you guys may have seen this. You may have had a parent who like is going through a bad situation at work or is stressed out in some way, and they show up and they're like, this needs to be done this way. Like, the shoes need to go in the cupboard like this way. These plates need to be wiped down this way. And they hyper focus on controlling one thing because they can't control something else. And the reason that you know this is the case is because for the optimizer, it's because we're relentlessly optimizing all kinds of random things. And really what we are, and this is where when I work with some of these executives and stuff, we'll like lean into shadow work, right? So it's like, what is the problem that you are avoiding by solving this other thing, and then solving this other thing, and solving this other thing, and solving this other thing? Because if you can be moving towards something, it gives you a sense that you're progressing. And if you're progressing over here, it's hard because of this principle called cognitive dissonance to feel stuck over here, right? So it's really hard for humans to feel progressing and stuck. This is an element of EQ that needs to be trained. In therapy, we'll call this the dialectic, right? So like, this person loves me and they're angry with me. It's hard to believe those two things at the same time. I recently realized, this is hard for me, that I have a very close family member that I dislike, but I love them immensely, right? It's hard to hold those two things at the same time. And so sometimes what the optimizer does is takes advantage of this. Because if I feel crippled and over here, I can optimize all of these different things. And this is how they become optimizer bots. Because I'm going to optimize this, and then I'm going to optimize this, I'm going to optimize this, and I'm going to optimize this. It's progress for the sake of progress. And oftentimes, if you're this kind of person, right, the key question that I usually ask in therapy or coaching is like, what is the problem that you are trying to avoid solving, right? Every time you move towards something, what are you moving away from? What's that one thing that is not going well in your life that you feel paralyzed in order to solve? And so that's the key question. But that's only one kind of psychology. Another reason why people optimize is because it's their way of measuring their value. So I one time asked someone, who's very successful, what drives your desire for money? And their answer was, it's the best way to keep score. In the game of life, how do you know who's winning? Because this person could be happy, this person could be healthy, this person could be sad. There's no way to know if I'm winning. Are you winning, son? And so, enter money. It's just the best way for me to understand whether I'm better than another human being. So another subtle reason why people are relentless optimizers, and once again, I'm not saying that optimization is bad, like it is a healthy part, a very productive part of life. But sometimes people optimize out of ego. They optimize because they want to be the best, right? And be the best for what? Be the best because you just want to be the best? because you don't really understand who you are, because you're not content in life. You are not at peace. So there's this idea that if I'm not at peace in life, if I become the best, then that somehow solves that problem. So people want to get better just because they want to get better, because they want to be number one. And this is also where, if we look at the vulnerability here, why does someone want to be the best? It's because they're not happy in who they are. So this is where it's like, the operative question here is, what does it feel like to not optimize something? Who do you become when you are not optimizing? And oftentimes this will uncover all kinds of terrible stuff. So I see this very commonly in people. I'm making them sound like assholes. They're not. I had a patient once who was bullied a lot in high school. This is terrible. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but sometimes in high school, in your freshman year, one of the worst things that can ever happen to you is someone can come up with a nickname that sticks and is derogatory. So when everyone's getting to know each other, when you're 15 years old, they slap you with a nickname. And since everybody's insecure and everyone's feeling not confident about themselves, it's really easy to dogpile onto this derogatory nickname, and that's what they call that person. So every time they have the wrong answer in class, when they fumble the football, the nickname comes out, the nickname comes out, the nickname comes out. And so once you get branded in this way, you feel like the worst. And so optimization enters the picture, because how does optimization enter the picture? Because you're at the bottom of the totem pole. And as long as you are getting better, you will never be at the bottom of the totem pole again. So this group of people sounds kind of like they're assholes, right? They're egotistical and they want to be number one. But the question is why? It's because they used to be number 100. They used to be number 1,000, and they vowed to themselves never again. But then they get into a subtle problem. I don't know if this kind of makes sense. This is hard, but they start to associate and attach meaning to progress. Because I never want to be this thing over here. I want to be number one, and number one means I'm happy. Why does number one mean I'm happy? Because number 100 meant I was sad, right? So if I was sad down here and I achieve this, then I will be happy. And so now something really, really, really dangerous happens as they start to tie together being number one with happiness, because they tie together being number 100 with sadness. But it doesn't work like that, right? The right way to be happy is to not run away from unhappiness. It is to work through unhappiness. If you guys wonder, what does that mean? Watch our video on emotional processing. Turns out was one of the best videos that we made last year, because people are like, I've heard this term, I don't know what it is. We're starting a deep dive on Monday, by the way, into emotional processing over on the membership side. So if y'all are interested in that, but you can watch the free video on YouTube. If you guys want more, then you can check out the membership one, but the video on YouTube is great. Okay, so the second reason to optimize is because I want to be number one and I'm going to be the best. And the better I get at things, the closer I get to number one. Why do I want to be number one? Because I've been number 100. Don't ever want to be that again. There are other reasons why it can be associated with ego. So once again, this becomes an optimizer bot. You are just relentlessly optimizing for a reason that you don't even understand. The third reason, this is a little bit more esoteric. Actually, I don't know if that's fair. Number 3 reason why people relentlessly optimize comes down to a fear of death. So how does this work? Okay, so let's understand what optimization is. Optimization is getting more per unit of resource expended. Okay, so it's like making $100 instead of $50 per hour. And if we really look at a lot of this optimization, it's like, I don't want to spend time eating lots of food. I want to just have one drink that will deal with all of my nutrition. Right? Like I want to learn I want to listen to podcasts while I'm walking around. I want a watch that will measure my sleep. I want to get more out of a fixed amount of resource. That's the fundamental of optimization. Makes sense, right? I want to get more. I want more. I want more per unit time. And generally speaking, when we think about what we're optimizing, if you really look at the denominator, the top can be whatever. It can be more muscles, more money, more nutrition, more longer lifespan. And then what ends up happening is per unit what? Per unit time. The denominator is almost always time, because if you look at what in a human life, what is the most limiting factor? The limiting factor is time. I need to read one book a month. Why? Why can't you read one book every 2 months? Why do you have to read 300 books a year? Why can't you read 30 books a year? Because time is running out. And so if we really look at fundamentally, this third kind of optimizer, if you want to stop being an optimizer bot, if you want actual peace and contentment, which, by the way, is something that the first two optimizers don't really get, right? So the peace and contentment comes when optimization is a means to an end. The target is already set, and the achievement of the target will bring you, hopefully, peace, happiness, contentment. This is I'm trying to optimize because I want to get a PS5 before this particular game comes out, before the Fable remaster comes out, whatever, right? And then once you get the Fable remaster, hopefully, fingers crossed, you're happy with it, right? But this third group of people, what they fundamentally are concerned with is a lack of time. I want to do more. Why do I want to date more people? Why am I so interested in polyamory? Because this experience is limited. And what I want is I want to get closer to an unlimited experience. There's so many books to read. I can't read them all. I want to read more. I want to read more. I want to read more. And what does this boil down to? It boils down to a fear of death. Now, this is one of the fundamental 4 fears I think that the Buddha talked about. Other people in the karmic traditions, Hinduism, Buddhism, will talk about the fear of death as being fundamental. Some groups of people believe that conquering the fear of death will conquer all of your fears, because it is the most fundamental fear that human beings have. This is also true in Western psychology as well. There are many psychoanalytic thinkers who will sort of really focus on the fear of death as the root of all anxiety, because death and the limitation of time is how we as human beings are limited. So conquering that fear, accepting that life on this earth is limited, that you don't get to do everything. See, it is the panic to try to do everything that turns you into the optimizer bot. I need to do more. 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 You can't do it all. This is also where FOMO comes from, right? Fear of missing out. Missing out on what? This experience. Why are you not content with the experience that you have? And so you can try to increase the numerator as much as you want to, but that denominator is ticking, 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 and it is terrifyingly ticking. And no amount of optimization will stop the march of time. No way to beat death. And so once you start to grapple with that directly, right? My time on this earth is limited. And so the optimizer will say, but I want to make the most of it, which is good. There's a good logic there, and I encourage you to make the most of it. But here's the tricky thing. Making the most of it is not necessarily more. Because once you understand the difference, then you'll understand, right? So think on that. Meditate upon that. Existential dread setting in, good. Existential dread setting in, it's not setting in, it's coming up, right? Setting in implies it's coming from the outside. No, it's coming up. And that existential dread is there. It needs to be worked through. And so generally speaking, when it comes to optimizers, these are the 3 major psychological patterns that I see for optimizer bots. And for the rest of you who are using optimization because you already have a goal in mind, which hopefully will lead to peace and contentment, then go for it, right? But optimize with awareness. Don't just do it automatically. I need more. Why? Right? Because it's never going to work.
Hey y'all, hope you enjoyed today's video. We talk about a bunch of topics like this on the channel, so be sure to subscribe for more. If you're already subscribed, GG, and we'll see you in chat.